Welcome to the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living. Happy Sunday morning to you. You found us. This is the place to be. And we're going to recite our vision mission statement, which says that at the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living, we are an open, loving, spiritual community dedicated to evolving consciousness through teaching spiritual principles. And we're so glad that you've joined us this morning. And let's see. I think we have some announcements. So Paula, would you like to tell us what's going on at the Grants Pass Center, would you? Thanks.
My pleasure. Hi, everyone. So we are so excited. Next week, we will be in person. And for those of you that still choose Zoom, we will also be on Zoom. And weather permitting, we will also have a speaker on the deck, and we will be following state guidelines and require masks indoors. Come join the spiritual gardeners at work and play every Wednesday from 10 until 12 in October. They are going to meet to beautify our grounds. There's quite a bit of work in the fall, but there is something for every level of your skill. So come join us. The practitioners are offering a new time to gather, and this is going to be on Wednesday evening, and it's called the Wednesday Evening Gathering. The Zoom room will open at 6:45 p.m., and the service itself will be from 7 to 7:45. The topic will follow our CSL themes along with prayer and song. It will be an interactive time where ideas and thoughts can be shared after the short talk. The Zoom room access will be through our website with the password Wednesday in all small letters. So if you're interested in what our home office has to say about vaccinations, there is a vaccination update in our e-news, and it's too long to read right now. But if you're interested, please go ahead and read that. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, wrote that in the practice of the science of mind, there is no place for arrogance or holier than thou attitude. The great have always been humble. The great have always been kind. And the great have always been lovers of humanity. Each week, we will also have an affirmative prayer for abundance. So please join us daily as we read this prayer for abundance. And now, Dave, please lead us in We Are One. Thank you.
Good morning, all. Please read with me the gratitude. It should be showing up on your screen. Yes. I am so grateful to be open at the top, letting myself dream bigger and expand my vision. Let's read that one more time in case you didn't see it. I am so grateful to be open at the top, letting myself dream bigger and expand my vision. And so it is. Welcome to the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Kim Bebo. I am your podium practitioner for today. Sherry Davis is our table practitioner. She is holding the high watch for us. And if you would like a prayer, please submit one to our website, grantspasscsl.org. Let us read our prayer together. As I open my heart, I will wait for the thing. As I open my heart and mind more fully, I envision and dream magnificent things for my future and our collective future. Life keeps expanding, and I say yes. And so it is. And Dave will now lead us in I Am Loved.
Dave, you're muted.
Take two.
Thank you, Dave. We are so blessed to be here together in this Zoom room, as it is, as it were, but we are very much one in our beings, one in and as through and in God. In spirit, and in spirit, we are together in our sanctuary at Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living. This, at this moment, and has been for a little while, is our sanctuary. But soon to change. We are blessed. We are blessed to be in this center at this moment and in this time. I'd like to read a small sample from Roger Teal from his book, This Life is Joy. When we shine our light into another's life, it leaves a lasting radiance. It teaches how we can heal our world. That love and light are real. Everything else is illusion. Light shared stores up the embers of compassion, the greatness of spirit that is everyone's true gift to this world. Let us take a moment and shine our light, knowing that the radiance that we embody, that we share, that we shine out, touches everyone we meet, everyone we live with, and just every being in the world as it moves from person to person. Bring that light into ourselves, knowing that the love that we share with each other is so important at this moment in time. That love is what heals. And we'll take a moment. And if you'll like to close your eyes, if you haven't already, or gaze out the window if you're able, we'll take a moment to just silently take in the love that we can feel shining from each and every person we know, we don't know, and will soon meet. Shine that love. And if you'll come back into this time and space, knowing that the love that you have shined into the world, into this space, is what we're all craving at this moment in time, and what we all shared at this moment. Now, Dave, if you'd like to give us some special music, that would be perfect. Thank you. I'd like to give special music.
Well, folks, one thing I always know is that at the top of the mountain, it's always open to the sky. And I have a song for you this morning. I'm gonna build a mountain. Gonna build a mountain from a little hill. Gonna build a mountain. At least I hope I will. Gonna build a mountain. Gonna build it high. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Only know I'm gonna try. Gonna build a daydream from a little hope. Gonna push that daydream up a mountain slope. Gonna build a daydream, gonna see it through. Gonna build a mountain and a daydream, gonna make them both come true. Gonna build me a heaven from a little hell. Gonna build me a heaven, and I know darn well, if I build my mountain with a lot of care and take my daydream up the mountain, heaven will be waiting there. And take my daydream up a mountain, and heaven will be waiting there. Gonna build me a mountain from a little hill. Gonna build me a mountain, and I think I will. Gonna build me a mountain, gonna build it high. Gonna build me a mountain, and a day that's gonna make it all true. Gonna build me a mountain, the daydream make it all come true. daydream up a mountain, heaven will be waiting there.
Thank you, Dave. That's awesome. And welcome to the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Steve Van Meter, your senior minister. And here we are in October. And our theme for October is going further together. And this week's talk title is Share the Dream. You know, we're basing our talks this month on an African proverb that reminds us that alone we go faster, together we go further. You know, you can run pretty fast by yourself, but if you want to go further, you have somebody else do the driving when you get tired, and you can go further. So as we near the end of our journey, we keep in mind this community that's brought us here. You know, every challenge has been part of your experience that's brought you to this moment. So whatever it was, blessing or curse, challenge or easy, it's brought you to this moment. And together, as Centers for Spiritual Living and the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living, we work in harmony with one another. We work with all faiths, all traditions, all people, to envision a continually expanding world. We dig into these truths for the final push to climb the mountain. And we, as Centers for Spiritual Living, are uniquely situated to foster a global community and a world that works for everyone by sharing all truths that we rely on. You know, this is no longer the best kept secret in metaphysics. We are out there in the world doing great work. And, you know, things are changing rapidly. And things are changing at the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living rapidly. We'll be in person next week, and Zoom will take on a whole new look. We're still going to do Zoom and Facebook Live, but it'll be from the center rather than from wherever I happen to be at the time. You know, where in our individual lives, in our individual centers or communities in the world, can we embody hope and oneness? Where can we invite others along for the ride, along for the journey in a way that is radically welcoming, loving, and inclusive? You know, with all the talk of vaccinations and non-vaccinations and masks and not to mask or to gather or not to gather, that is the question. There's a lot of energy around how we gather. But I think most importantly is that we choose to gather, however that works best for you. And from our Centers for Spiritual Living vision, we envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures for further the emergence of this global consciousness that we're all building. I think one of the most important things is if you can't oblige someone, at least speak obligingly to them. You know, it's gotten a little heated that if you don't think the same way I do, then you get excommunicated or something. But it's important to know that there's only one of us here, and that person that you may be negating is part of yourself. You know, from our Centers for Spiritual Living values document, community service, we dedicate our time, our talent, and our treasure and expertise to the healthy and joyful evolution of our spiritual community, the community in which we all live, move, and have our being, and the greater community of the world. So I just ask you, are you sharing lovingly your talent, your treasure, your time? Really look at that, at what you're sharing. And are you sharing it in a way that feels open and receptive to others? Or are you just saying you're sharing for the sake of saying it? Oh, sure, I share. But do you share from your heart? Do you share from your overflow of love, from your overflow of your spiritual nature, from the overflow of your treasure? And maybe you're feeling like you don't have enough right now to have an overflow. And that's where we need to continually improve our spiritual practice, to tithe, to be tithed to. You know, we can all use continuous improvement. We constantly welcome more and more of the divine nature into our lives to be realized within us and revealed through our relationships, our decision-making process, and our contributions to the world. You know, Ernest Holmes said that we're an open at the top teaching with space for both dreamer and visioner. This means we know fantasies can become reality when we choose to step into that void. And him saying that we are open at the top, I would like to add that we're also open at the bottom, where things that no longer serve us can move into the nothingness from which they came. But we need to get the gift from it. We need to get the message. And if we miss the message, then have you ever had a situation where you thought you handled it and then it came back around and you're like, I thought I handled this? I like to call it, you know, same song, different verse, a little bit louder and a little bit worse, because sometimes when it comes back around, it really wants to get your attention. It really is noticeable. You know, it's easy to forget and to take granted in whatever good we've already created in our lives. You know, life is asking us to deliver something still greater. You know, too often we mistrust our inspiration from God. You know, we say, oh, that couldn't possibly be inspiration. That's just gas I'm feeling. But we need to truly look at how we're supporting each other. How are we supporting our center? Do you believe in supporting what feeds you spiritually? And that's why we're here, is to feed you spiritually. Too often we mistrust this inspiration, in spirit. That's what inspiration means, in spirit from God. Entertaining both doubt and worry about what others may think of us. If we're vaccinated, if we're not vaccinated, are we social distancing enough? Are we wearing our masks properly? Are we wearing double masks? Do we believe in masks? That's an individual choice. You know, when we put spirit first in our lives and step into our lives leading from that cutting edge, we take positive action in our communities, in our lives, and we begin to create something truly evolutionary. But it's only when we do it together. Individually, you can read and you can meditate and you can do visioning by yourself. But experiences are best shared. You know, if we don't share our time, treasure, tithe, then we're just spinning our wheels by ourselves and we're really not getting anywhere. You may say, well, it's tough being in community sometimes. Yeah, it can be, but it can also be one of the most exciting experiences of our lives. Got a couple talking points on this. Our internal state of mind influences those around us. But if there's no one around us, it doesn't influence anyone but ourselves. Ernest Holmes frequently said that we are each spiritual broadcasting stations. And so when we exhibit our healing energy, knowing the unified spiritual truth of all that is, we're doing our part in healing. And it doesn't matter who's around us or not. Healing is happening. This is being proven as well in the medical sphere with doctors who are in tune with themselves, more successfully assisting others in drawing on their own healing power. This is according to Parker Palmer, an educator and author. The result is that many medical schools are now making this part of the doctor-patient relationship a regular part of a physician's preparation to check in with themselves about healing and what they believe. So it's not just the being book savvy, but being spiritual savvy can change the outcome of a healing modality. Think about it. If you go to a physician and they're a really good doctor, do you care if they have a spiritual aspect? Does it make a difference to you if they pray or not? Again, this isn't to call anybody out, it's just to ask the question. Maybe they're a really good doctor, but how's their bedside manner? Number two, one of the most important values we have is to see the oneness in everyone. This means not only thinking that we're one, but living as one. When we acknowledge and recognize the diversity of our own spiritual communities by bringing together elders and youth, black and white, LGBT and straight, or whatever, when we mix our communities and work together collectively on projects, we become witness to a greater light that shines through each and every one of us. There's a greater sense of community when we have a community. I call it a calm unity, being together. You know, it does take a village to raise a horse or a child or a dog. So this instinctive experience changes us. When we share ourselves with others, we learn something from others. If we think we know it all and we're unteachable, then we put a dam in the road. And when you dam something, it stagnates. Water stagnates behind it. We need to be in continuous flow. So this instinctive experience of sharing changes us. A recent societal study showed that even holding a soccer game with mixed Christian and Muslim teams helped to shift the thinking in small ways. Whether we're taking action within our community or creating opportunities for our larger community to come together, we are not only creating, but demonstrating a world that works for everyone. And I'm so glad we're going to be reopening and still be on Zoom and Facebook Live and inviting people back into our homes, literally our spiritual home, at the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living. Number 3, fear often rushes in when we begin to dream of a new world. We begin to question our God-given intention, reminding ourselves of the biblical story of Elijah and Elisha. We can recall that our intuition, our dream, is spirit-fed, and a call for us to take on the cloak of possibility. I love that, the cloak of possibility. You know, in the Harry Potters, there's that cloak of invisibility. What if you were to take on the cloak of possibility and wear that around? Being open to new ideas, being more receptive to what people are trying to share with us. This can also be seen as the transmission of the light. We are being asked to step into our own greatness, to create and evolve, or as Ernest Holmes said, open at the top. Are you open at the top? Or have you slammed the window shut because you didn't like what you were hearing outside? As my dad says, always leave the window open an inch for a new idea to blow in. It's just when you think you've got it all together and down, something happens and you need assistance. You've got to open that window and check it out. In doing so, we take up the mantle. We lift our community, our conversation to a higher level. That's what we're constantly doing. Even in the static that we hear, even in our interesting conversations or bickering, there is something to be known. There's something to be understood. And the minute that we stop conversing, we stop learning, we stop growing, we atrophy. So in conclusion, we are each personally responsible for how the world around us is. If you take your football and go home, the game's over for all players. So I'm asking you to stay in the game. Maybe pick a new receiver, or maybe a new quarterback. Maybe you need to learn how to go out long and be okay with a Hail Mary. Get up there and jump for that football. I'm onto my football thing because I'm here in Reno and watched a great football game last night. But when each of us takes up that mantle, we do our own part to move the world forward to a higher expression of spirit, through our actions, through our sharing of our time, our tithes, and our talents. And that, it is in that sharing that we begin to create a world that works for all. And so it is. Thank you. It's time now for our prayer. So let's follow our teaching and go within. Let's remember who we are, that there truly is only one of us here. That one that has many names, but is nameless. That source energy, that divine emanation of all that is, that each one of us is. I know that each one of us is unified in that field of all opportunity. Even when we feel that there is no way to move, nowhere to go, something happens. Because we know that the energy of love and life are continually moving. Even when we think that things have stagnated or atrophied, there is still life brewing deep within the energy of all that is. And as we activate that energy in every situation, I know that a healing is happening right here and right now. That whatever needs to happen for your life to have a healing is happening right now. We can invite it in, or we can stand in its way. And the infinite always says yes. Let me show you. So as we turn our attention away from being part of the challenge and turn ourselves into being part of the miracle, the very energy of life shifts in our life. Connections begin to be made. New things begin to blossom. Old things fall away. Naturally, we can be uncomfortable about it. We can squirm and fight the universe. But as we begin to embrace and love all that is, no matter what the appearance, and ask it for its blessing, for its wisdom, for its message, something begins to shift within us. And soon, each one of us is part of the miracle. So I give great thanks for this experience, for the healing that is happening all the time. I'm so blessed to know that something is moving in a miraculous way, that there is healing happening in each one of our lives as we all progress individually and collectively, as Spirit loves us at depth. We are blessed. So we let go. It is easy to release these words directly into that living, loving law of mind where God can be God in our lives in a miraculous, energetic way. And as we let go, knowing it is already so, the miracle begins to show itself. The very challenge that we thought we could never get through becomes the miracle that moves us to the next level of consciousness. So we give great thanks, letting it go and letting it be what it needs to be. We affirm this together by saying, so it is. Amen. Well, it's time for our offertory now. And I want to just thank everyone who has responded recently to our call for assistance. Your Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living is going through some interesting times ourselves with being only doing Zoom. We've had a dip in giving, but things are starting to progress in a new way. And we're just so thankful for everyone that continues to give, who has ever given, or whoever will give in the future. We're just blessed. So let's recite our offertory ideas about sharing. My consciousness of the Spirit within me as my unlimited source enables me to take the high road of abundant prosperity. And so it is. And for everyone that has given, let's say a little prayer about what has been given to our center. Again, thank you all for supporting your center, allowing us to continue these services for you. We look forward to you coming next week if you feel safe. And we will be wearing masks and social distancing. There'll be a speaker outside, like we said. But let's pray now about our offertory. From the love of pure spiritual energy, these tithes and gifts have been collected. They are a bounty and evidence of our faith, our belief, and our ability to manifest in this world of form. They do great work in the world. They bless the giver and the receiver in such a way that allows this message to reach more and more people. The Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living is blessed. We take full advantage of that blessing by sharing it with you. As we affirm this together by saying, and so it is. Amen. Well, it's time for our closing music. So, Dave, how about some music for us?
Everybody sing. Yes,
Beautiful. Thank you, Dave. Well, it's time for our benediction. So if you'd like to unmute yourself, please repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening right now.
Something wonderful is happening
right now.
It's happening in my mind,
It's
It's happening in my mind,
in my body,
in my
body,
body,
and in the body of my affairs.
and in the body of
my
my
affairs.
I think it,
Or no.
I think it,
I feel it,
I
I feel it,
and I know it
I know it,
just the way that it is,
just the way that it is,
and just the way that it is not.
and just the way that it is not.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.
Have an awesome week, everyone.